We continue now at the top of Daf Chav Ches Amud Aleph and Meseches Gittin. This is Gittin Daf 28a. On the previous summit, the Gemara was saying that the halach in general is if a person loses a get and there's a delay in finding it, so then we have to be concerned that maybe what was found was not the same document. But then the Gemara says if the person finds it in something that's recognizable, finds it in a pouch or a purse that he recognizes, O Shemetzo Bein Kelev, or he finds it among his vessels, as Rashi says, Bein Kelev Bebeso, again among his vessels in his house, Afilu Uzman Merubah, even if it's been a long time since he lost it, kosher, in that case it's kosher. Again, he can assume in that situation that it is in fact the same document. And the Gemara continues, Itmar, it was stated, Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Rav Yehuda says that Shmuel says, Halacha, the halacha is Shalosha Adam Sham, as long as nobody stopped over there where the get was lost, and then you find the get, so then you can assume it's the same document. Rabba Bar Bar Chana Amar Rav Yitzchak Bar Shmuel, Rabba Bar Bar Chana says that Rav Yitzchak Bar Shmuel says, Halacha Shalo Avar Adam Sham. The halacha is that as long as nobody passed through over there, so then again you can assume it's the same document. And the Gemara continues, Leima Mar Halacha Kamar Umar Halacha Kamar. Why doesn't Rav Yehuda just say that the halacha is like the Yeshomrim and have Rabbah say the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon? Why do they have to actually repeat the halacha? That Rav Yehuda says halacha Shalosha Adam Sham, and Rabba Bar Bar Chana says halacha Shlo Avar Adam Sham. And the Gemara responds, Mishum Da'afchilu, because there are those who switch around which Tana said which. And Rashi explains, Leimer Rav Yehuda halacha ki Yeshomrim v'leimer Rabba halacha Rabbi Shimon. Why doesn't Rav Yehuda just say the halacha is like the Yeshomrim and let Rabba say the halacha is like Rav Shimon? Lama chazru lahazker sadvar malafarshin. Why do they have to repeat the halacha and re-explain it? Umeshani, and the Gemara answers, Mishum da'afchi luhu is tanoi demafchi Rabbi Shimon liyeshomrim v'yeshomrim l'Rabbi Shimon. There are tanim who switch around Rabbi Shimon and the Yeshomrim. Hilgach, therefore, im lo hizkiru el Hashem hachachamim. If they only mentioned who they're paskening like, lo have a yodi ahayim mitrei lishni kaimi, we wouldn't know which version of the Tanoim they're referring to. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, Matzo bechafiso bedeluskama, if he finds it in a chafisa, or a deluskama, my chafisa, what is a chafisa? Amar Rabba Bar Bar Chana. Rabba Bar Bar Chana says, Chemas Katan, it's a small flask. My deluskama, what is a deluskama? Talika desabi, it's a purse of the elderly. Rashi says, Chemas bulzula belaz vihi shal or. The Lazay Rashi says, that's a sak shal roam, it's a sack of the shepherds, that's Chemas. And Talika Tashka Belaz, and the Lazay Rashi says Taska sack, that again refers to a sack. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Hamevi get v'inicho zaken ochol. If a person is delivering a get and the husband is elderly or sick, no sein law, he can give the get to her, to the wife, bechezkas shukayim, with the chazak, with the presumption that the husband is still alive. Bas Yisrael hanesul a Kohen. Let's say a Bas Yisrael is married to a Kohen, v'halach ba'al l'medina sayam, and her husband, who's the Kohen, he goes far away. Ochelos betruma, similarly, she can eat truma, bechezkas shukayim, with the presumption that he is still alive. Hashaleach chatasum Medina Hayam, if somebody sends his carbon chatas from Medina Hayam, makrivano, so we can bring it on his behalf, bechezkas shukayim, with the presumption that he is still alive. And the Gemara says, Amar Rava says, Lo shanu el zaken shelo higia legvurus. This halacha by a zaken that we can assume he's still alive, that's only if he did not reach the age of gevuros, of might, v'chol sharov cholim l'chayim, and a sick person where the majority of sick people do end up remaining alive. Avol zaken sheigia legvuros, but if you have an elderly person who's reached the age of gevuros, the goses sharov gosen lemisor, he's a goses. A goses is a person, the majority of gosesim, they end up dying, they're very ill, so then no, we would not apply this. You cannot assume that they are still alive. And Rashi explains, L'gvuros shmonim shana. Gvuros means he's 80 years old. Lishna dekra, the Gemara is employing the language of the pasuk. V'chola o chola demasis, and davka chola v'lo goses. What the Gemara means to say is, when it says chola in our Mishnah, it's specifically a chola and not a goses. Somebody who has the status of a goses will most likely die. And the Gemara continues, Eisve Abaya. Abaya asks on Rava from the following brisa, Hamevi get v'nicho zaken afilu ben meyashana. No sin law bechezkas shukayim. If a person is delivering a get and the husband is old, even if he's 100 years old, he can give her the get with the presumption that the husband is still alive. And the Gemara says to Yufta, this is a refutation of what Rava said, because here we see clearly in the brisa that even if he's 100 years old, there's still a chazaka that he remains alive. And the Gemara says, if you want, I could say that's not true. It's not a refutation. Kevon de iflig, because when you're talking about someone who's 100 years old, he's already outlived the average lifespan of a person. So such a person who's lived such a long time, there is a presumption that that person is still alive. But a person who, let's say, is only 80 years old, he doesn't have that chazaka. And the Gemara continues, Rami le Abaya le Rabba. Abaya had the following contradiction for Rabba. Tanan hamevi get v'nicho zaken ochola. We learned in the Mishnah, if a person is delivering a get and the husband is elderly or sick, no sein law, bechezkas shukayim. He can give her the get with the presumption that the husband is still alive. Ureminu, but we have the following contradiction. Let's say a person says, this is your get, and it's going to be chal 1 moment before his death, meaning he's saying 1 moment before I die, the get will be chal. Asura lechol b'truma miyad. So she's not allowed to eat truma right away. She can't eat truma already immediately. And Rashi explains, Asura lechol, she's not allowed to have truma bas Yisrael hanasua l'kohen. What the Brisa means to say is, if she's a bas Yisrael married to a kohen, shochelas b'shvilo, she's eating truma because she's married to him. So in this case, Asura miyad, it's also for her to eat truma immediately, to chol shaita, because every single moment, or you could say every hour, chayshinon achshav yamas, we're afraid that right now he's going to die. Alma chayshinon lamisa. The point is that you see from this brisa that we do suspect the person is going to die, and that seems to contradict our Mishnah. And the Gemara continues, Amar lei, he said back to him, Truma Gittin Karamis, are you having a contradiction here between our Mishnah, which deals with Gittin, and this brisa, which deals with Truma? Truma, after, when it comes to Truma, it's possible to eat something else. She doesn't have to eat Truma. And so therefore, in that situation, we are concerned the person might die, and therefore she will be prohibited from having Truma. But get lo after, when it comes to get, so it's not possible in any other direction. As Rashi over here says, Truma after lios nizonas bechulin, she can always eat chulin. But get lo after lemechash lemisa, by get, we can't say that we're concerned maybe he died. Because if you're going to say that we're concerned the person died, so then no one's going to be able to send a get to his wife, and everyone, all these women will be agunos. And the Gemara continues, V'rami truma truma, we also have a contradiction, truma against truma. Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah, Bas Yisrael hanasul l'kohen, v'alech bala l'medinas hayam, if a Bas Yisrael is married to a Kohen, and her husband goes far away, ochelas b'truma, she can eat truma, bechezkas shukayim, with the presumption that he's still alive. So Raminu, so now again we have a contradiction from the Brisa. Hareza gitech sha achas kodem isasav. He says this is your get 1 hour before his death. Asur lecho b'truma miyad. Here we have a concern that he is going to die, and we say she's forbidden from eating truma immediately. And so again here we have a contradiction, and now it's truma against truma. And the Gemara answers, Amar Ravada Breder of Yitzchak. Ravada Breder of Yitzchak says, Shani Hasam, it's different over there in the Brisa, Sharei Asra Olav Shah Achas Kodem Isasa, because he made it forbidden for her 1 hour before his death. And Rashi says, Shani Hasam Sharei Asra Shah Achas Kodem Isasa Liolam Lo Chayshin Lamisa. Really, we're not concerned of death. V'shani hacha sharei asra mechayim. The case over here in the Brisa is different because really she's prohibited already while he's alive. Shah achas kodem isasa, 1 moment or 1 hour before his death. So shah achas kodem already she's asr in truma. V'chol shaita ikol esvuke v'hishaita sha'asida le'asr. Every moment, every hour, you have to have a doubt that maybe in the next hour he's going to die, and therefore this hour she's already divorced, and that's why over here we're stricter. And Rashi says v'shinuya dechikohu. This really is a dochik answer. V'hainu deparach. That's why the Gemara is about to ask on this answer. V'lav dechayshin on lamisa, because if not for the fact that we're concerned he's going to die, mimai dehave gita. Why would it be a get? Liolam humayis bereisha v'nesra mechayim dil mehimayis bereisha. How do you know he's going to die first? And there will be this prohibition while she's alive. Dil mehimayis bereisha. Maybe she's going to die first. V'lo yavel lechlal get liolam, and it'll never be a get. And that's why the Gemara ultimately does ask on this answer. And that's what the Gemara says. Maskif lo Rav Papa asks on this, Mimai de'ihu mayis bereisha. How do you know that he's going to die first? Dilma i mayis bereisha. Maybe she will die first. How can you say over here, just because it's 1 hour before his death, still, we're assuming he's going to die. That's why we're saying over here that it's asr. So again, we have a question, truma against truma. Elamar Abaya, so rather Abaya answers as follows, Lokash, it's not difficult. Har Ravi Meir de lo chayish l'misa. Har Ravi Yehuda de chayish l'misa. It's actually a machlokas tanoim. Ravi Meir is not concerned with death, and Rabbi Yehuda is concerned with death. And Rashi says, Elamar Abaya, Haitana vade chayish l'misa. The Tana of the Brisa certainly is concerned that the husband will die, v'lo kasha masnisin, but it's not difficult. Our Mishnah, Tahacha Ravi Meir he de lo chayish l'vikiyas hanod, because Ravi Meir, who is not concerned that the wineskin is going to break, so that same Ravi Meir is not concerned with Misa, as the Gemara now says, and this we quoted earlier, the Tanan, as we learned in the Mishnah, Halokeach yayin mibein hakusim, if somebody buys wine from the kusim, and then he doesn't have another vessel to put in the truma and the meiser, so Omer, so he can say, Shnei lugin shani yasad lahafer sharein truma, the 2 lugin which in the future I will separate, they're going to be truma, asara meiser rishon, 10 will be meiser rishon, tisha meiser sheni, 9 will be meiser sheni, umeichel v'shosa miyad divrei Ravi Meir, and then he can be meichel, that refers to redeeming the meiser sheni, and he can drink it immediately according to Ravi Meir. Essentially, as we explained earlier, he employs breira over here, retroactively we say that which later is designated as Truma, Meiser, etc., will be designated. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon, Osrin, but Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon, they say Osrin, as we mentioned earlier, and as Rashi notes, Osrin, Shema, Yivaka, no, they're concerned that maybe the wineskin will break, maybe later on you won't really have anything left as Truma and Meiser, etc., and similarly, they would also be concerned with death. And the Gemara continues, Rava Amar Rava says, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video, on Daf Chav Ches Amud Beis.